Hey, in this episode of Your Hidden Edge, I've got special guest Jonathan Troen on the podcast, on the show, and we're going to talk about self-love, the self-love revolution. If you struggle with giving yourself grace, giving yourself acceptance, self-love, check out this video.
Welcome to your Hidden Edge podcast, where there's a belief that each and every one of us has a hidden edge, one that could unlock that next level of success in any area of life. Unfortunately, that edge is hidden, tucked away and buried deep underneath layers and layers. In this podcast, we'll uncover the hidden edge of high-performance leaders, executives, athletes, coaches, and authors to open your mind and stretch your frame of reality. If you know you want more, can do more, and be more, then this is the right podcast for you. Let's uncover your hidden edge.
Welcome to the show. I am extremely excited to have special guest Jonathan Troen on the show. Jonathan, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. Truly excited to be here, Jeff.
Yeah, I'm pumped up for the discussion. This is such a powerful, important topic that I've had experience with. But before we dive into your hidden edge, Jonathan, give the audience a little background about where you came from, your experiences, so they kind of know where you're coming from.
Yeah, totally. So I spent 20 years in the entertainment business, and I was interviewing and working with the biggest stars in the world, mostly on the music side, some movie stuff, but mostly music. So I interviewed everyone from The Who to the Ramones. We worked with Kiss and Madonna and the Backstreet Boys, like everybody. And, I had a great place. I lived in Santa Monica, California, 3 blocks from the beach. I could see the sunset out my window. It was the life that I worked hard to create for myself. Like, I followed the rules. They said, create the life you want. So I did. To be honest, I created the business for the sole reason that I wanted to see free concerts and I wanted to interview bands. I love music. So I created a company so I could see free concerts and interview bands. And we did really well, and I had this great life. But I wasn't happy. And I'm like, this is crazy. And I make these goals and I'd have these successes. And I'm not saying I achieved every goal that I ever set out for myself, but I did achieve a lot of them. And every time I achieved one, I felt great for, 2.5 minutes, maybe 2.5 days. And then it's like, okay, those stories go back in your head about not good enough because there was always somebody more successful than I was. And it was just exhausting. And I'm trying to figure out, like, what's wrong with me? I got everything I ever dreamed of. What is wrong with me? So I quit the entertainment business and I went on a journey to figure out what the hell was wrong with me. And it took me a few years to figure out. And, I had some good successes and learnings on that journey. But then I finally figured it out. And here's what I figured out. And it's the most important lesson I've ever figured out in my entire life. There was nothing wrong with me. And to me, I know it sounds weird, but to me that was like, are you kidding me? Because, I was the youngest of 3 kids. So, I was a little picked on there. I love my sisters, love my family, but when you're the youngest, you get picked on. I was the youngest at school. So I got picked on at school. So my whole life, I was told that I wasn't good enough. And at least I felt like that. I mean, I had a very loving family, but I still felt like I didn't match up to others and I could always do better. There's always room to do better. And I was always trying to be like someone else. So as in the entertainment business, you needed to be like those who are more successful than you are. And when that burden was lifted from me, like, wait a minute, you mean I can just be me? I don't have to pretend I'm like that other person. I don't have to make up these stories that are sort of true but exaggerated. All that stuff you do with these entrepreneurial networking things. And you figure out how to massage the words so everything's so much better. And like, wait a minute, I don't need to do that. I can just be me and accept myself. That was a journey, to be clear. Didn't do it overnight. But to accept myself just as I am, wow, that was huge. And from that, then I could actually grow into success. I stopped beating myself up. look, I don't know why this day, I share this day often. I had an interview with Cher.
Okay.
By the way, amazing human. We did have to wait like 2 hours while she was getting other stuff done, but that's okay. It's Cher, right? And then she came out, but so kind. My partner and I, we both interviewed her together. And there was this cricket in the room that wouldn't stop. It was hidden behind stuff. So it keeps chirping. It keeps chirping while we're trying to interview, one of the biggest stars in the world. This is Cher. And, so you go home at night and you review your day. And all I could remember about the whole interview was this cricket going off and how it was somehow my fault. So I'm beating myself up, and you suck because there's a cricket going off and you can hear it on the tape. But, my life then was, even on the most successful days, I would review my day and I'd focus on everything that screwed up. And every day has great things and things that mess up.
Right.
Like a cricket that you have no control over. You're like, stop, let's wait a minute, see if it quiets down. The biggest difference between then and now is today, every day. Every day I still have successes and mistakes. Sometimes more successes, sometimes more screw-ups. Every day I look myself in the mirror. I go, Jonathan, great day. I acknowledge things that may have not gone right because maybe there's something I can learn and do better. Mm-hmm. Maybe not. Maybe I just had no control and say, hey, you did the best you could. But then I focus and celebrate in my head, in my heart, in my body, all the great things that happened. Whether it's business, oh yeah, you did a great interview today with Jeff, how cool. Or whether it's, wow, you were a good dad today and you did that really nice thing with your son. Or, hey, you caught that little bud just growing off that tree. Like any celebration, and celebrate the teeniest things. And it just makes life so much better. And then what it does is I have more energy to focus on the contributions I want to make into the world. So that was a long answer to your question about my background, but I hope that gives you a little bit of the journey.
It absolutely does. So my follow-up question to that is, why do you think, and this is common across all human beings, right? And you just kind of shared in your story of being uber successful, but still focusing on the negative or what went wrong. Why do you think we default to that pattern as human beings?
I think there are a few reasons. One is certainly evolutionary. We are wired to look for the negative. Why? Because, millions of years ago, if we heard a sound, it could have been a wild animal or tribe next door who were, gonna kill us. So right. Part of it is a safety mechanism. Of course, the problem with that is, most of us are not in danger of being eaten by a wild animal. And to be clear, I get there are places in the world and cities in America where it's quite dangerous and your life really can be in danger. So I acknowledge that. Right. But most of us don't live like that on a daily basis. We're in traffic, but we're in traffic and our body thinks danger, I'm about to die. We don't logically think that, but our body, releases the cortisol as if we're running away from a wild animal. Mm-hmm. So there's the evolutionary side of it, and we have to begin to change that because we don't live in those conditions. Right. Here's the other piece of it, is that we are taught from a very young age to compare ourselves to others. Look at all the other people in the room. These are your competitors. Did you make the top 10% of your class? Are you number one? Now, here's what's interesting. I used to think that, this came from our classes, our teachers, our the movies that we see, all that kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. But then I had a son, and I remember day one. It was nighttime, and it was taken out of my wife. It was put into my hands, and then he was taken away briefly to get cleaned. Mm-hmm. And then when I came back with him, they put him down. They gave me a sheet that had his height or length, had his weight. And next to those numbers was a percentage about how he compared to every other person in the world. So it's not just, it doesn't start at school like, how do you have an A and they have a B and that kind of stuff. It starts the day you're born. They start comparing you to every other person in the world. And of course, if you have a low number there, the parents get all scared. And like, well, what's wrong? And how do we help our child? We get scared. And then we as parents don't accept our children the way they are because the doctors said, hey, something's wrong here. Now, I guess sometimes something's wrong. You got to fix it. But, we're comparing height and weight and things like that. And then it's perpetuated by some of the marketings. Look, marketing messages. We have a whole industry, multiple industries that their existence and their growth depend on you being dissatisfied and unsatisfied. Because if you buy this product, this will make you happy. Of course, you're successful, so you buy the product and you feel really good about it for a few days, but then you've done it. So have I. We've done this, and then we go back to, oh, well, okay, it's just a new phone or a new watch or a new car or even a new house, and you love your house, but then everything else in your life is the same. Now, I'm not saying you shouldn't have stuff. I have stuff. You can look around here, and I got all kinds of stuff, and some of it I don't need and could get rid of. So I'm not I'd like to be a minimalist maybe, but I'm not. Okay, right. So let's be clear, I'm not. But that said, we can't define our success on that. And then I got this son. So then we got the games, right? So we play the game of life. Well, how do you win the game of life? Who has the most money in the end? That's the games we're playing with our kids. So right. I want to play the games with him and we have fun, but I'm really trying to teach him in the real game of life. Because he asked me the other day, so which jobs make the most money? By the way, he's 7 years old. Okay. He said, which jobs make the most money? It's 7. So I said, well, I don't know. A lot of factors go into it, but here's what you got to understand. Because in life, the cards have salaries, job, and then
Yep. We've played it with my 2 sons as well.
So you get it. Mm-hmm. So I had to explain in the real game of life, success is measured by how much joy you have. So how do we as a society change our measures? You get what you measure. We measure gross domestic product. We measure success by money. Now, money's great. Money's a piece of it. If we didn't have this great house to live in, life would be a lot harder. Right. And we got a place, like we own a yoga studio too. It's 5 minutes away from the yoga studio. It would have really sucked if we would have had to move further away to a less expensive area. So money is very helpful. Mm-hmm. But if that's your sole definition of success, look, okay, so this morning, I go on tangents. I don't know. You can interrupt me anytime. But this morning, I don't know exactly when this is gonna air. But this morning, I saw a video of a concert that happened this past weekend. Okay, it was a benefit for Taylor Hawkins. Taylor Hawkins, for those of you that don't know, drummer of the Foo Fighters, right, who died a few months ago. It's believed that he took too many drugs and he was having a difficult time. One of the most successful people on the planet. I mean, a well-known drummer of one of the biggest bands in the world. And what the video was his son was playing drums on it, and I was just like, literally, tears were coming down my eyes. Taylor Hawkins didn't want for money. I mean, I don't know what his financial situation is, but I got to imagine. I don't know what Foo Fighters, how they split their money, but I got to assume Dave Grohl made sure everyone in that band was taken care of monetarily. Right. But it's not enough. It's just not enough. And where the self-love revolution comes into play, I call it's where inner and outer wealth meet. Because when I began this journey, I learned a lot of mindset stuff. Mm-hmm. So it's like half the people were dealing with mindset, but then there's this whole other group that was dealing with, this is how to get 6 figures in 30 days, type thing. And the reality is if you have a lot of money, and I spent 20 years in Hollywood, I knew a lot of people with a lot of money, some very happy, some very unhappy. Right. Money's a magnifier. Mm-hmm. If you're happy, money will make you happier. If you're miserable, money will make you more miserable. It's a magnifier for whatever you have. So if you have a lot of money, but you have a faulty mindset because you've done what you were taught, not your fault, right? Not blaming the victim here. That's a rough life. And if you have this is the whole secret, and think positive, just think good thoughts, but you don't have money to help you, it's just difficult. I actually think it's better. It's more joyous, but it's really difficult. So the self-love revolution is where the inner and outer wealth come together. So you can actually begin enjoying your whole life, your business, your bank account, and it all begins to come together. And it starts from a place of acceptance of where we are right now so that we can grow into who we're becoming.
Love that. So your hidden edge is self-love, and let's dive into it because it strikes a chord in me based upon my history and like getting to a certain achievement, and you feel good for a minute, 2 minutes, and then all of a sudden life is back to normal, right? And that's constantly what we're fed by society, by media, everywhere, this chase. And what are some practical tips that people can start to implement where they're giving themselves grace, they're showing themselves self-love, and they're starting to build that mindset muscle, right? We hit the yoga studio, we hit the gym. I used to be a gym owner. We do the physical side, but we're not hitting that mental side enough. And we're not practicing those reps and being intentional. Like, I'm going to practice self-love. This is going to be a rep I'm going to put in every single day. So what are some practical tips that people can implement?
Yeah. So, you use that word chase. We're always chasing. So it starts by stop running. Just stop running and stop fighting with yourself. So, a little bit of backstory I'm going to give you. So, in all the, I shared the whole piece of the backstory before, but a part of it was, so I moved to Denmark, loved it there, and then all the stories came back in my head, and then I had to move, right? So I moved to Spain, moved to LA, started moving to all these places, moved to LA, loved LA, then I hated LA, moved to Santa Monica because I need to be by the beach. Loved it. Then I hated it because I was on 11th Street. That kind of sucked. It was really far. So then I moved to 3rd Street. So I kept moving closer to the ocean that I wanted to live near because I thought that's where my joy would come from, living on the beach. And I really thought for a period of time, I'm on 3rd Street and I could have my feet in the sand, 10 minutes, walk 2 blocks down the stairs, feet in the sand. But of course, as I walked those streets, I passed by people that must be doing better than I am because they're closer to the beach, and some people are on the beach. And then I'm listening to this song one day, overlooking the ocean there, and these are the lyrics. It's a Social Distortion song, and I had interviewed the band. I had broadcast the band live. Like, I'd heard this song thousands of times before, and I never heard these lyrics before though. It said, "You can run all your life, but not go anywhere." And I was like, whoa, I'm just running. I'm running and running and running. So I just stopped. And that kind of was okay, then I went on that journey to figure out what was wrong with me. There was nothing wrong with me. So first, you have to stop chasing. You have to stop running. You have to practice acceptance. You might not like what's going on now. It's okay. But we do have to accept that we're here. It's kind of like the GPS. If you put in the address of where you want to go, but you don't know where you are right now, you can't start. You start driving around in circles until your GPS picks up, right? So You got to know where you are now. You have to accept where you are now. If you try and make change without accepting where you are now, you fall back to where you are. You get some change, but you fall back. You get some change, you fall back. You get some change, you fall back. You know what this is? This is getting the same job you hate your job, so you get a new job and you hate your new boss. Well, it's the same as the old boss. You get a new relationship, you break up, you find someone else. It's the same relationship, just with a different face and name. So these are cycles. We have to have learning, and you don't get learning when you create change from this negative emotional state. So You have to create a positive emotional state. So first we practice acceptance, and then look, I know this is cliche, but then you have to practice gratitude for what's here right now. If you think you're going to get away with a life of joy without gratitude, it can't happen. But it's not just about writing words on the paper. You got to follow the science of it. So what does gratitude do? If you feel it, I had one client, he says, "Oh yeah, I have a gratitude journal and I write every night." Like, okay, how do you feel afterwards? Like, well, I feel the same. I go, okay, then you're not doing a gratitude journal. Gratitude's an emotion. They're not just thoughts in the head. It's an emotion. It's a feeling in your body. So you have to do it in such a way, writing it, and there are different methods for writing your gratitude out, so that you can feel it. And if that doesn't work, there are ways to picture it, but you have to feel it. It's an emotion in your body. And when you have that, what happens? Well, it releases dopamine, releases serotonin, releases oxytocin. These are the happiness hormones, right?
Right.
So now you go grab a drink if you want. I'm not against alcohol. And if you need medication, fine. But you are a chemical manufacturing machine.
So it's so true. It's so incredibly powerful. I mean, we have all the ability within us if we do certain things to release that happiness, release that joy, right? Get that dopamine hit of celebrating ourselves and releasing, and we have it all internally, but yet the focus is so often external, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
So let's choose what chemicals we make, and, to go back before about kind of our programming, where does this come up with? And I didn't understand this when I was a child, or, even a younger adult, whatever. As I watch TV shows and movies, but I really notice it now. Whenever someone is having a difficult time, what do? They go to the bar. The friend offers them a drink.
Yep.
Now, again, I haven't given up alcohol. I drink every now and again.
I did for 2022, so I haven't had a drink in 8 months.
Yeah, so I don't, I drink once a month or 2 months or 3 months, whatever. It's not a part of my daily lifestyle anymore because I don't need it, but I'm not against it.
Right.
Whatever you do is fine. But when it's to mask something, when it's to mask the emotions you're feeling, you will run into difficulty, but it's not your fault. It's what you're taught to do by everything you watch on TV. Hey, have a drink. Oh, you're struggling here. Have a drink. No, it's not going to help. How about let's change some chemicals that are being created in your body. Let's pause and change your emotional state. Now, yeah, you can go for a jog. That's great. You can put on some music. That's great. Although you have to play the right music, because some music can also trigger a negative emotional state, right?
Right.
But the thing about gratitude is you can do it anytime, anywhere, any moment. You can be on the plane, sitting down, seatbelt buckled, and go, okay, right? And you can release the dopamine and the serotonin, do it to yourself. So that's really important. And if we have time, I'll go into some more science of that, because it's actually really important. But I want to get to these other things. And I know we got limited time here. So you have to have a positive emotional state. Now, this is really important too, this next one. And it's the last thing I figured out as a part of my personal daily protocol, which I do is now part of the self-love revolution. And that is a daily forgiveness practice. Okay. I forgive every single day. Every night I say, I forgive myself and anyone else who hurt or offended me, knowingly or unknowingly. Some people don't even know they did it. Mm-hmm. Physically, monetarily, emotionally. I wish them no harm. And I release myself from any future pain. I accept this moment as it is. And I release myself from any future pain. Because what happens when someone does something that we don't like? We want them to hurt, right? But we carry that. And even when we do something wrong, so we beat ourselves up, we want ourselves to hurt because we did something wrong. Oh, you suck. You screwed that up. Okay, but it's in the past. Right. So I do that every single day. I have a longer meditation that deals with some old embedded stuff. Because let's be honest, we play the same stories in our head over and over and over. We're playing things that happened 10, 20, 30 years ago. Right. As if they're going to be different. If only that were different. Hey, guess what? You can play that story as long as you want. It's not going to be different. Now, I'm not saying it was right. Forgiveness does not mean it was right. Because let's be honest, what that other person did, fuck them. Sorry for my language. I rarely swear. But, their fault. Yeah. Right. Or maybe you screwed up. You really screwed up. You shouldn't have done that. Yeah. I get it, but you can't change it. So we have to find a new way of relating to these situations so that it's like we're chained to the past. And forgiveness releases the chains. Right, releases that anchor. A new future. Yep.
Yeah, releases that anchor. What a powerful practice to get
Yeah.
into. And I forget what book or passage I was reading was basically, if you want somebody else to hurt, the first person that is hurting from it is you. It is having an impact on you
Yeah.
before anything. And that's incredibly powerful
That's
to
right.
think about. And that could be someone else, but most importantly, it's going to be yourself if you're beating yourself up over and over again. And I like to say, hey, we're the only species on the planet that beats ourselves up with that hammer over and over again, instead of grabbing that flashlight and getting curious about, hey, why did it happen? And what can I adjust moving forward? Saying, okay, I accept
Yeah.
it. I'm giving myself grace. And that's such a powerful practice to get into. I've done it recently. It has changed my life because I am one of those that used to beat myself up over and over again for the things I didn't do, where that is not going to lead you to where you want to go, happiness, joy, and fulfillment wise in your life.
Well, plus it's exhausting.
Mhm.
And when you're exhausted, it's much harder to get up and do the work that you're
Right.
here to do. You're here to help people.
Right.
That's why you're on the planet. Yeah. You want to know the purpose of life? The purpose of life is you're here to help people. But it's really hard to do if you're beating yourself up all the time and exhausting yourself. I call forgiveness the most important skill we've never been taught.
Mm.
And I do believe it's a skill. And I call it a skill. What's a skill? A skill means you can practice it and get better at it. Because the
Right.
first time you try it, you're going to suck at it. Like if you go down and sit at the piano, unless you're some virtuoso, 5 years old, we got those. But first time you go on a piano, you suck at it, right?
Right. Right.
Well, forgiveness and self-love too. All of this, you suck at it at first, but these are skills, and you can practice them. And I'm sorry that we weren't taught these. As youngsters, but it's still, it goes to what we measure. What are the NPR stories I'm hearing right now? And not just NPR, everywhere. It's like, we're coming out of COVID and, oh my goodness, the math scores are down. And oh my goodness, the English scores are down. And I'm not discounting the importance of math, and certainly not the importance of language and all of that. But are they more important than gratitude and learning the science of the body? I mean, my son, he can tell you what chemicals the sun has, right? And if I pronounce something wrong, he'll tell me. I was reading a book with him the other day, and I read some element I'd never heard of. He says, no, it's pronounced like that. 70 years old. He has a periodic table, and he knows this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's great. And I'm thinking, well, why doesn't he know what the brain does when it's happy? Why doesn't he know about the pituitary gland and what it's releasing? Why doesn't he know about the amygdala? Why doesn't he know what's actually, he gets angry, right? Why doesn't he know what's happening when he gets angry? Right? He can be taught, if he can learn all the planets and the chemicals and the different planets, he can learn what the human body is creating, the chemicals, the ones that help us. And the one, I mean, and to be clear, the ones that create stress, cortisol. We don't want no cortisol because it does help us, but there's also we can have too much of it. So why aren't we teaching that to our kids? We really should be. So that's a piece of it. So back to forgiveness, and I want to highlight something you said too. You said curiosity. Mm-hmm. Curiosity is the antidote to judgment. We spend almost every moment of every day judging things, good or bad. I like the color of that wall. I don't like the color of that wall. I like what that person said. I don't like what that person said. Now, you're not going to turn off judgment. You can't. We're wired for it. We're just too wired for it. The moment you say, I'm not judging, then you're going to judge something. Then you're going to judge yourself for judging. Oh, man, I suck. I said I wasn't going to judge, and there I am judging. And you just pile judgment and judgment and judgment on top of yourself. But what can change it is simply curiosity. Why did they paint that house orange? I wonder what went through their head. Or why did that person say or think that? Because I think that's totally wrong. And by the way, to be clear, it is. The people on the other side, I'm with you, totally wrong. They're totally messed up. Okay, fine. But let's just be curious about, well, why do they think that way? Mm-hmm. And Thich Nhat Hanh used to say, he would say, and there's a great poem that he has. The name's not coming to me right now, but it's about if we were born of the same parents as that other person in the same city and had the same upbringing, we would think the way they do, right? So in this big, Trump, and non-Trump divide, then I'll share which side I'm on. And yes, I do have a side, but I don't have enemies on either side, by the way. I have lots of people I disagree with. But I know that if I was brought up in a different city, if I was brought up with different parents, if I had different schooling, if I was programmed, which you were, if you don't think you're programmed, you were programmed. The language you speak right now is because you were programmed to speak in that language. If you were in another country, you would have been programmed to speak in another language. So if I were programmed a different way, I would have different thoughts about all this. So we have to learn that side of it.
Gotcha.
I'm going to share the last piece. So we have acceptance, right? Accept where we are. We have creating a positive emotional state, which, yes, you can run and play music, but gratitude, so powerful. We have forgiveness. And then here is the missing ingredient, is this idea of just self-love, self-compassion, of saying kind things to yourself every day. I used to look in the mirror and I shared, I'd review my day and all that, but I would also look in the mirror and say, yeah, you look like shit. You're ugly. I don't like the way you look. That's why you don't have a good relationship. No woman would ever want you. And it's not, I know guys that say it. I know women that say, we look in the mirror and we pick ourselves apart.
Yep.
So you see these right there, they kind of, older men kind of get those. So this is new. This is just a few weeks old there. And in the old days, I would have looked at it and go, oh my God, I'm getting old. Like when I first started getting grays, I used to color my hair. I started getting grays. And then I'm like, wait, I can be me. I don't have to do that. Let's just see what comes. And now I see a new wrinkle. I see this or that. And I pause and I just go, welcome to the family. And it changes our relationship with ourselves. Most of us will complain when our neck hurts or our knee hurts. But how often are you saying thank you? Oh, you can turn.
Right. Very true.
Knee, you're still working. Okay, I know it hurts when we're up at the top of the stairs, but you did it. Hey, thank you.
Right.
And can we just start being kind to ourselves and celebrating your successes? And here's the key of it. So people say, well, isn't that selfish? Or just think about myself. Here's the key. When you are kinder to yourself, you are kinder to others. This really is about you being kinder to others. And it's about you being able to connect with others more deeply, create better relationships, which, by the way, for those that think everything's about money, okay, money's good. So when you have better relationships, when you serve more people, guess what happens? You make more money.
Yep.
So, why is my yoga studio more successful than my old online music company, which was really successful? I told you who we were working with. It was phenomenal. So why am I more successful now? It's only because my brain is different, because I don't beat myself up every day. And therefore, more things come to me without me trying. Still have to take action. I can't sit here.
Right.
But I don't have to chase. I don't have to struggle. I don't have to. It's not that. And my to-do list is never done by. I don't really have a to-do list. It's a could-do list. I choose, right? I have a choice, and it can be a get to-do list. That's the other thing people do, but it's never done. But I don't look at it and agonize anymore over it. I just go, okay, well, what should I do next off this list?
Right.
Sometimes it's get some ice cream. And sometimes it's do something, and whatever I choose, it's simply I practice kindness. So stop beating yourself up and practice kindness to yourself, so that other people will also be kinder to you, and you'll be kinder to other people. And believe me, your world will change if you do this.
Love it. So well said. Love the discussion. Jonathan, where can people find you if they want to learn more about the self-love revolution?
It's selfloverevolution.com. You can find me, Jonathan Troen, on the Facebooks and the Instagrams. You can follow me there, but go to selfloverevolution.com. Click the button. It says join the revolution. We have summits going on throughout the year too, with amazing people sharing their journeys of this and their perspectives of this. And it's a community. It's really a community that we're putting not putting that we have. We're continuing to grow it, and more people are understanding, just the importance of taking care of themselves, right? Justin Bieber, or I read, just said, I got to stop touring for now. I'm gonna take care of myself. I'll be back, but I'm going to take care of myself for a little while. So more and more people are realizing that if we're really going to enjoy this life, we have to start taking care of ourselves a little bit more. So please, you want to change your life, and you want to change the life around you. Let's have a revolution, but it's a self-love revolution.
Love it. Jonathan, thanks for being on the show.
Thank you, my friend.
Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Have an amazing, amazing rest of your day. Rise, fight, love, repeat. Get after it, and I'll talk to you soon.
Thank you for listening to your Hidden Edge podcast. You are now part of the movement, part of a tribe who's on a mission to uncover their hidden edge. We're stronger together, so please share this. Show up with one person in your network that you want to help. Together, we can empower others, and connected, we can make a dent in the universe.